Well, Bob Iger's out there making excuses for Disney again, which is all he seems to do. Run damage control for all of his mistakes as CEO, and there's been a lot of them. But he's out there saying, we invested too much into Disney Plus. That's why we lost money. Right. Sure, it wasn't the quality or the kinds of stories you wanted to tell. No. It's because you invested too much. You made too many things. It wasn't the fact that you brought in activists to do a lot of the directing and producing and writing for your shit. No, it's that you invested too much. Man, Disney has lost a lot of money, especially over the past year. We have some actual numbers. Willow. The budget for Willow ballooned beyond $150 million before Disney axed the show. I like that you actually see outlets talking about this now. This is from Forbes, dropped May 12th. That's a huge budget for this show. Huge budget. And this show became a tax write-off. I want you to remember that. They removed it completely from Disney Plus because it sucks and nobody watched it. Who approves this shit? $156 million budget. Disney's reasons for axing fantasy streaming series Willow after just one season appear to be getting clearer as it has come to light that the budget for its 8 episodes surged to a staggering $156.8 million, giving each episode a cost of nearly $20 million. You could make a Godzilla -1 for $20 million. Hollywood bloat, man, is a huge problem. None of this is good either. You can't just spend hundreds of millions of dollars on something and expect it to be good. You also need to, write a good script and stuff. This show, if you didn't see it, is one of the biggest piece of shits that Lucasfilm has ever created. Another Kathleen Kennedy failure, by the way. All of their box office bombs. This isn't Disney Plus, but the Marvels. Thanks to some reporting, we found out it was around $237 million that they hemorrhaged over this movie. I suspect it was a little bit more because I was looking at the graph for it. And one of the avenues for profit was streaming, which Disney pays itself to do, by the way, in case you didn't know that. So this getting sold for streaming rights to Disney Plus was paid by Disney. So it's probably $337 million. But let's just ignore that and just say $237 million. That's still a lot. Add that with Willow and all the other shows that have lost money. Disney has really, really screwed up over the past couple of years. Billions lost. Bob Iger, he's got to run defense. I'm still shocked that Nelson Peltz lost that bid for being on the board. As much money as they lose. And this year won't be as bad because they don't have a lot of stuff coming out. And I do think that Deadpool versus Wolverine is really going to help their bottom line. But, I mean, look at what's going on. X-Men 97. A great show. Nobody watched it. Ratings were in the toilet for that show. Worse than Miss Marvel. Maybe even worse than Echo. Echo barely even showed up on the charts. So, this is not good. And I'm not taking pleasure in the fact that X-Men 97 failed. I like that show a lot, actually. I've talked about it on my live stream on Saturday. Don't miss them. But it did bad. The brand damage is real. Brand damage is a real thing, and Disney is getting hit by it. So you could keep making your excuses, Bob, but they're not going to bring people back. So he was at an investor conference today, and he got up and did a speech, and he said, as we got into the streaming business in a very, very aggressive way, we tried to tell too many stories. Basically, we invested too much, way ahead of possible returns. It's what led to streaming ending up as a $4 billion loss. $4 billion loss. Take that into account with all of their movies, everything. This company has lost a lot of money. The only thing that's really keeping them going are the parks. And eventually, that's going to wear off too, because those parks are outdated as hell, and in some places, pretty dirty looking. Compare that to Universal. They're overhauling everything. Iger addressed a falling out with his hand-picked successor, former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, whose tenure he called out for a lavish and misplaced content spending. It was clear to me that our structure was not working because we were removing accountability from those that were basically investing the most capital was a mistake, he argued. So, blaming Bob Chapek, you set Bob Chapek up for failure. You set him up for failure. Everything that he did was going along according to what you had already built. I love that he tries to blame Chapek for everything, when mostly it's his bullshit that got Chapek in trouble in the first place, to be honest. The result of spending more on content than could be turned to profit resulted in volume and not quality, which turned out to be a mistake, Iger said. The Disney boss conceded volume was required to win the streaming wars against rivals like Netflix and Prime Video. But yet there's a very fine line that you can cross and get in trouble if your volume ends up diluting management's attention to what is being made is right. And that's what happened to us, so I have pulled that back, he told the conference. I've been telling everybody good isn't good enough. It has to be great. Just keep driving that, but if you force them to make too much, that becomes almost impossible to do. So you're going to make less content and put a shitload of studio notes on it. Boy, oh boy, I'm sure that that's going to work out just fine. I'm sure it's going to work out just fine. And then I was hearing $100 billion for Hulu and shit. Like Disney is in a lot of trouble. I think they're in more trouble than people realize, and I think things are gonna be really bad for them next year. I can't wait to see what these new higher quality shows and movies look like. Can't wait to see how those turn out, and we'll get to see some of those next year. This year is going to be real quiet for Disney, which they kind of need. They had somewhat of a little bit of a win with that Planet of the Apes movie, which is now Disney, by the way, just in case you forgot. They bought Fox. You have the Alien Romulus movie. I think they have got 2 animated movies coming out this year. I might be wrong, but they've got Mufasa for sure, and they've got Deadpool and Wolverine. If that movie fails, Marvel is screwed. I don't think that one will. Mufasa, I think, is very likely to fail, and it's going to be even more hilarious if Sonic 3 beats it, because for some reason they thought it would be fun to line that movie up against Sonic 3. So it's going to be an interesting year. If they have another year of box office bust, they're in trouble. And last year was a big box office bust for them. 3 of the biggest bombs last year were all Disney. They had the Marvels, which they're saying lost $237 million. I'm not so sure. And then they had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That lost a lot of money too. And then they had Wish, Haunted Mansion. All of those movies were busts. So it'll be a fun year to watch Disney for sure. But Bob Iger making excuses again. That's all he does is run around and make excuses. Why don't you actually make some good shit, Bob? Stop making excuses and actually make something good. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. if you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.